This video will reflect on elements of the effective pedagogical practice for the 21st century primary school teacher. It will highlight three main areas of focus: student wellbeing and pastoral care, effective teaching practices for good academic outcomes, and finally, classroom resources. Student wellbeing and pastoral care. As teachers, we need to remember that students aren't gingerbread men. They are more like vegetables in your classroom garden. They come in all different shapes and sizes, and they will all need different amounts of water and sunlight to grow. And when the year is over, students will all have grown in different directions, and even as the most conscientious gardener, sometimes you won't be able to explain why some have flourished and why some have grown a little less. Key elements for your attention are some roadblocks that may prevent student learning even before they are through your classroom door at 9 a.m. Sleep. Are your students well rested? I know I can be cranky, unmotivated, and inattentive when tired. Hunger. Are your students eating breakfast before attending school, bringing a healthy lunch, drinking enough water throughout the day? Sickness. Implement good hygiene habits to minimise the spread of cold and flu between classmates during flu season. Exercise. Are students getting exercise during the school day and outside of school hours to enable concentration? Do your lesson plans vary the amount of activity and use up any pent-up energy, or practice mindful techniques before requesting their full attention? Family relationships and emotional concerns. Is the student experiencing any disruption to family life or any emotional trauma that may need to be considered? Even the death of a family pet could impact a child greatly, or a teacher. Don't forget, like us, kids just have bad mood days too. Effective teaching practices for good academic outcomes. Pedagogy is a two-way street. It can be defined as not only the what and how students learn, but also focusing on teachers as learners and how a focus on your own teaching practices can improve student outcomes. Curriculum, the what students learn, is mostly outlined in Australia by the Australian and state curriculums and implemented by the respective state education boards. Education departments can also be prescriptive about the how students learn, requiring teachers to follow teaching models. For example, currently Education Queensland has implemented the explicit teaching model into classrooms. Regardless of curriculum requirements, the most successful teachers focus on continuing to reflect, evaluate their practice, and investigate a wider range of teaching practices to cater for their current individual cohort's needs and develop their own expertise. The Bill and Melinda Gates Met Foundation are developing a 21st century feedback tool for US schools and have identified 9 key elements successful teachers self-monitor to ensure their effectiveness. Managing student behaviour, creating an environment of respect and rapport, engaging students in learning, managing classroom procedures, establishing a culture for learning, using questioning and discussion techniques, using assessment in instruction, and finally communicating with students. Maintaining a self-awareness of these key elements will ensure an optimal student achievement no matter the what curriculum or the how model that is being taught. Classroom resources. The amount and choice of 21st century classroom resources is overwhelming. Thanks to the World Wide Web, teachers are able to utilise networks of Australian and international resources like never before. But don't be paralysed by choice, and most importantly, don't forget about your students. Access to technology could be further alienating some of your students or impeding learning. Students may not want to admit that at home they do not have access to the same resources as their peers. While in the classroom, time taken to access technology and the inevitable IT problems can turn you into an IT help desk and take focus away from the lesson at hand. Assessing a good balance of learning with technology is required. Make your classroom your masterpiece. Stimulate your students with lots of bright and colourful visual aids and motivational displays. Show your personality to establish a rapport with your students and allow them to contribute their own style to the classroom too, to encourage their investment in their class and school. On one of those bad mood days, at least they will have something educational to look at. Remember, it takes a village to raise a child. You can't do it all, and not all learning happens in the classroom.
created using Powtoon.